Capturing the music, one memory at a time. There's a special magic in a photograph that captures a fleeting moment on stage, in the studio, or behind the scenes. Many rock and roll memoirs tell a story, not just about the music, but about the people, the energy, and the life surrounding it. In my rock and roll memoirs, I've tried to preserve those moments, the gigs that felt electric, the nights when the crowd's roar became a pulse running through every vein, and the quiet backstage instances where the music's soul was born. Every snapshot, and all those on my site that I took personally, are a memory frozen in time, but it's also a reflection of the hard work, the dedication, and the human stories behind the music we love. Some images capture the sweat and intensity of a guitarist's fingers flying over the fretboard. Others show the unguarded laughter of a drummer in a rare, quiet moment. Each music story is a heartbeat of its own, the kind of insight you might find in an autobiography by famous people or celebrity memoirs. Many rock and roll memoirs include these private moments that bring fans closer to the artists they admire. Rod in the Faces, small venues, big memories. One highlight I remember vividly is working with Rod in the Faces. Their energy was undeniable, and I intentionally kept them in smaller venues initially. It wasn't about limiting their fame, it was about intimacy. Those venues had no empty seats, just fans, pressed together, living and breathing the music alongside the band, including one instance at the Boston nightclub where they were scaling the roof to get in because it was packed to the rafters, as the saying goes. Sometimes turning away ticket buyers was preferable to letting the magic fade. I recall a wet evening when the heater sputtered backstage and the band laughed while fans sang along in the cold. That tension, that human imperfection, is precisely what makes the memory vivid. There's a moment in my collection that perfectly captures this, the kind of energy that makes many rock and roll memoirs worth telling. The sort that ends up in good celebrity memoirs or memoirs by celebrities. Every smile, every spontaneous chord, every fleeting interaction belongs on these pages. Savoy Brown, from club gigs to headliners. Savoy Brown's journey mirrored so many bands I've worked with, starting in intimate clubs, honing their sound, and then graduating to headlining shows. Watching a band grow in real time, from struggling to fill a room to commanding its attention, is a story worth telling. I remember one night in a smoky club where the stage lights barely illuminated the amps. The band was tense. Chris Yulden, in a top hat and fur coat, growled the first few songs. His gutsy blues delivery was new to the audience, and the crowd shifted impatiently. But by the fourth number, something clicked. The rhythm tightened, the lead guitar sang, and the energy soared. Fans jumped to their feet, shouting and clapping, and I forgot that original lineup. To me, they were never surpassed with any lineup that came thereafter. That transition from struggling to triumph is the heart of every celebrity autobiography or a famous people memoir, and it's precisely the kind of moment that makes rock and roll memoirs unforgettable. Behind the scenes, the real stories. What people often don't see are the moments that make the highlight reel, the sound checks, the laughter, the camaraderie, and sometimes the tension. There were nights when bands argued over set lists, or someone stayed late to perfect a riff while others laughed in the corner, exhausted but exhilarated. I have countless behind-the-scenes shots of musicians sprawled across couches, guitars resting on knees, or scribbling lyrics on cocktail napkins. The chapters in my rock and roll memoirs tries to capture those moments. One image shows a young bassist, head down, eyes closed, fingers tracing the strings in silence, lost in the music before anyone else arrived. Moments like that reveal the quiet devotion behind every public performance, a central element of many rock and roll memoirs. These private glimpses belong in an autobiography by famous people or celebrity memoirs, bringing readers closer to the music than ever. The power of a memoir in music history. Music is fleeting, but written memoirs and onstage photos make it tangible. My rock and roll memoirs are more than just a collection of recollections. They preserve a slice of rock and roll history. Every music story, anecdote, and backstage note contributes to a living tapestry, reminding readers that behind every outstanding performance is a story waiting to be told. These stories bridge generations of fans and musicians, offering insight into the human side of rock and roll. They belong alongside an autobiography by famous people, celebrity memoirs, and memoirs by celebrities, preserving the moments that might otherwise fade with time. Preserving the moments. Rock and roll is constantly evolving, and having watched it unfold, I know how important it is to save the moments that define it. From small clubs to headlining tours, the stories of my rock and roll memoirs offer a glimpse into that world. Each image and recollection invites readers to step behind the curtain, feel the music, and understand the journey that shaped the bands and the fans they loved. A young fan leaning over the barrier, eyes wide with awe as the drummer nods in recognition, captures the magic of connection that behind the music moments reveal. Together, these memories form a living record of a music scene that was as chaotic as it was beautiful, as fleeting as it was unforgettable, the kind of material that appears in good celebrity memoirs. A glimpse through the lens. One of the most special parts of the memoir is the picture section, where I share onstage photos I took while the bands toured. These images offer a first-hand view of the performances, the energy of the crowds, and the moments that often go unseen. From the first chord to the last encore, each frame tells a story in motion. Proof that every picture truly tells a story, as Rod Stewart once sang, and every frame is a memory preserved forever. These music stories are at the heart of my rock and roll memoir, offering readers a window into the life and soul of the bands they love, as well as my own. They belong alongside other celebrity autobiographies, celebrity memoirs, and famous people memoirs that chronicle music history, as this was history. Every reader, fan, and collector of rock and roll memoirs can feel the pulse of those unforgettable nights, the sweat and laughter, and the magic of music frozen in time.